it's sad that you need to put up with it. But I do think it is slowly getting better, but overall there's still a lot that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And what needs to be done is people need to talk about it more, I think. And realise that it's not alright. Because I remember my mum saying when I pulled out of uni, she was like, it's the video games! And I'm like, no, it's not.
Hey, I'm Katie J, and welcome to Young Scot's new This Is How I Feel podcast, where we talk to guests who've grown up or live in Scotland about their experiences and how they cope in the world we find ourselves in today. In each episode, we'll tackle a different topic with a brand new guest. And today we are really excited to be chatting to Lindsay Pattison, who we're going to be talking about gaming with, escaping reality, and setting online boundaries. But before we get into the chat, right, you might know Lindsay better by her online username, Toasty202. Lindsay is a live streamer, gamer, content creator. She does everything. She's a marketer. She's an actor who grew up in Glasgow. Now, gaming has been an important tool for Lindsay in helping look after her mental health. It's helped her to meet people, to develop her confidence and self-expression. So, let's get this conversation started. Hello.
Hi, lovely to meet you.
And you. And how do you feel having just heard me give your full CV on the pod?
I was just in awe. It was so professionally done. You were great at it. Thank you.
I didn't listen to a word you said about me. I was just
I
what?
was really well presented.
No, but seriously, quite the list there. Mm-hmm. You've been busy.
Yeah, I've always kind of been about the joint. I don't know what I'm doing ever or what I'm doing with myself. So yeah, I'm trying different things. But yeah, thank you for having me. I'm buzzing to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to speak to you. I've not got much knowledge on kind of gaming and all this, so I'm really, really intrigued. So I cannot wait to kind of dive into all the details.
Okay.
But before we get going, Lindsay, we start off every episode by asking our guests, how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
So how are you feeling today?
I feel good. I'm a wee bit fuzzy because I was driving late from Bristol last night. But my head's always a wee bit fizzy, so I've just accepted that as a way of life. So
relatable.
Yeah, it usually doesn't warm up until random hour in the evening. I'm like, but most of the time I'm just kind of floating.
Yeah, why is that a thing? Because I'm like that as well.
Yeah.
And this sudden burst of energy comes out at 12:30.
No matter how early I go to bed or how early I go out, it's just at night I'm just I think I'm just a nighttime person.
Yeah.
Circadian rhythm or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a bit like that as well. And why is it that always the people that come into your life seem to be morning people and you're like, oh
God, no. I honestly think it's why I maybe game as well.
Yeah.
Just at night, usually, and I still stream at night. No matter, I've tried. It would benefit me better if I streamed in an afternoon at the better times, but I just get that burst of energy at night, and I just prefer it. I think it's just because it's. I don't know. I would say the world is calmer at night, but I'm like, woo! But yeah, I've just always been a kind of late afternoon, nighttime person.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Although last night, driving that length of a journey at nighttime, you might have been pushing it there. I'm not sure I'd be up for that.
A wee bit, yeah. I do like driving though. I really enjoy long drives. I went to uni in Aberdeen, and that's when I first started driving from Glasgow to Aberdeen. And then when I lived in London, I do long drives at night, but I just blast the radio and sing the whole time, and I find it really cathartic because I just zone out. Not off the road. I'm very focused on the road. I'm not
right. Well saved. Well saved.
Yeah, I'm zoning in on the road, but I just find it really relaxing.
What were you singing last night?
Oh, all sorts. My playlist goes from musicals to System of a Down to old kind of Evanescence, Green Day,
Obsessed.
White Stripes,
So there's a Green Day musical.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's great. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I've seen it when I was really wee. My dad took me when I was 10.
This is an amalgamation of all the things I love. What a day.
Yeah, no, it's sick. I love it.
That's class.
Yeah.
That's class. No, it's important because, singing along in karaoke, it's very important to kind of gauge where someone sits in these kind of activities.
Yeah.
It's very important that everybody enjoys a sing-along as much as I do in this room.
Are we going to be doing one? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you have
got
a mic,
number
Lindsay.
at the end of this podcast.
You have a mic and I want to hear
No, I
you.
need to warm up. Give me some water and honey.
She's a professional. Right, seriously, let's dive into it because you have a really, really interesting story. And we kind of touched into it there. Just you listed a few places where you've lived alone. I mean, like Aberdeen, London. You're in Bristol. You've driven up from Bristol. How did we get here? Talk to us. Give us your potted history.
Oh, I don't know. I think Aberdeen, I applied to uni after college. I did acting and theatre at college. And then for some reason I applied to do English at Aberdeen. I think at the time I just wanted to get away from Glasgow. Like I was always itching for as young as I can remember to get out the house. I don't know why, just to go. So I went to Aberdeen to do English. Didn't enjoy it after like the first year. Dropped out. Didn't know what I was doing. Came back to Glasgow, saved money for a year. Just working little rubbish jobs. I remember that time in my life how hard it was to get a job when you're like 18, 19. Like I was getting rejected for like left, right and centre because it was like you don't have any experience, but classic. Well, how can I get experience if you won't hire me? But I remember that and then just kind of been like, I'm away to London to kind of just follow some of my dreams as well as soul search a bit. So I went down there and I lived in London for a couple of years before coming back up with, like, because my lease ended. So I thought I'd come back up, save some more money and go back down. But then COVID happened. So then I was in Glasgow. Right. And then I've just moved to Bristol end of last year. So about from November I've been in Bristol.
Are you loving it?
It's great. I love it. Yeah. I love how my friend was like, because I couldn't get back in London. It was way too expensive. My friend's like, oh, come to Bristol. Bristol's good. Not tell me Bristol's like the exact same rent prices. Like there's no difference. Expensive. But it's good. I think from the stage of life I'm at now, Bristol's a lot cosier than London, but it's still vibrant with like arts, scene, like good scenes, culture, food, all that. It's really good. So.
And I suppose like with the online community that you've created, it doesn't really matter where you are, does it?
No, well that's the beautiful thing about online communities, and I think it has actually helped me more than I realised. Was when I moved from Glasgow to London, I didn't know anyone but my flatmate, but he was full-time working and full-time studying. So I was kind of, I guess, a lot of comfort, because you don't realise I'm good at like getting into new workplaces, new situations, but it is quite isolating. So it was nice after, long shifts in the pub or whatever where I was working at the time, coming back and just playing with people that I'd known for years online. So it was nice to have that familiarity in my laptop.
You can take it everywhere you want.
Yeah. So it's good, and that's translated into streaming. Like I've been on holiday a lot, I've been abroad places, and I've managed to stream or things like that. So it is good in that respect as well.
So you don't really ever switch off then?
Well, it's funny actually, because this is something I've genuinely been like realising in the last couple of years. For a long portion of time when I'd started streaming, I found I wasn't ever switching off, because this thing about, I guess, most freelancing jobs is you think, oh, I'm freelance, I've got my own schedule, but you never actually, because you're constantly, when you're not working, you're thinking, what can I be doing next?
Of course.
What can I add in? I should be looking at emails right now, I should be looking at other opportunities. So in the early stages of live streaming, when I started, not being able to switch off was an issue. And that they ended up coming to like just long breaks. Like I had to take massive pauses. And right now I've not been streaming as much, I'd say, for the last like 6 months. Like I'm still doing it, but not as much, because I'm actually taking time to just kind of figure out where I'm at, because I still don't know what I'm doing with my life. So I'm like, right, streaming needs to take a little bit of a back burner. And I'm quite good now with just like, if I'm not streaming, I just don't look at my phone. Like I can easily not look at my phone now for like days or even.
Teach me.
Yeah, I don't know why now. It's got to the point where, it's good. It's better probably. But,
of course it is.
But I'm also like, my brain goes so fast sometimes I could literally stare at a wall for like half a day and not get bored. So like, as opposed to TikTok. So but yeah, no, I've definitely in the last couple of years started to wind down a bit.
Yeah. But you have so many strings to your bow. I mean, just reading your kind of like bio at the start. Is there anything you don't do?
Oh, I feel like I do nothing. Like genuinely. Like,
see, when I'm not staring at a wall.
Yeah, no, I genuinely feel like, even I've realised like because I used to beat myself up about this. Like growing up, some days I just need to do nothing, or even for weeks or months, like I couldn't really, I feel like I was kind of just scraping by, and most of the time I just wanted to sleep or relax. And I'm always going to have these days. Like, even, you know, my partner, like, he's Monday to Friday, very working, very productive. Some days I'm like, mate, I just need to stare at a wall all of today. I just need to recharge. Like, it's just who I am now. Some people I think are like that, some people aren't. It's just something I've learned to manage now.
Do you think it's that sort of go, not crash, but stop mentality as well? Because I feel like with a lot of creative people, it's like everything is so intense and it's all happening all at once for a certain amount of time, then you just sort of have to go, bye-bye. Yeah. And it's finding a way to, bye-bye is not the technical term, but it's finding a way to manage that so you still get that streak of inspiration, but also take care of yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like that's something I've learned a lot, like I guess in my adult life, is just managing those energy levels and realising when to take time, realising when I'm burning out. Because like you said, like I love people and I love meeting people, but I'm quite introverted, so I get burnt out easily. Especially like if I've been doing like TwitchCon or conventions and stuff, I need like a solid 2 weeks to just not talk to anybody after it. As much as I love talking to people, it's just who I am, I've realised. Like, rather than beat myself up about it, it's like, okay, well,
let's work with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Just how did you go from acting to English to working out that this could be a career? You know, when did gaming become such a big part of your life? Has it always been?
Yeah, not as a kid. I feel it. I'm actually catching myself out because when I was young, I never even thought I'd have a career. It was so chaotic. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do remember thinking, the amount of time I spent online in games and stuff, I remember thinking, I bet you if I do anything, it probably will be online in some regards. But I mean, that was way before streaming and that was even a thing. And even when I started streaming, I didn't start it as like a profession. It was purely a hobby. It was because I was in London. Friends who I was streaming with online were like, oh, you should start this, because I was trying to get into acting at the time, but I was also quite shy, like a shy person, so when they suggested streaming, I was like, I don't think I could ever do that, as much as I loved performing and like creative expression. And when I started streaming, I literally couldn't be live without somebody in a Discord call with me, or multiple people, because I was too nervous to talk myself. And that was quite a gradual process. So yeah, anyone who starts streaming, like, you're not going to be the same as where you end up, because there's so many strengths and things you can pick up. And I found that it did help a lot with, I guess, like speaking to a camera, and just confidence. And it helped with a lot of things. What was the question again? I've lost it.
Just how did you get there? Did you, has it always been a passion? Like gaming, obviously, you felt like you were always going to find some way to incorporate that into your life. But just the flip from it's a hobby to, oh no, this is my life. I'm going to do this. Yeah, so with gaming, so I mean, I'd started gaming when I was really young. I had a Game Boy Color. That was my first ever console. PS2 was the first big console that I loved. And then I remember at night when I'd stay at my grandparents', I used to sneak up and go on their computer at like stupid o'clock. And I was really into things like RuneScape or like Habit, or like big social worlds that you could just build like a second life. And I don't know, I think that might have been a product of like, I was quite a shy kid. I struggled to make friends early, like primary school. And I think like socialising online was like a big outlet for me. And then like through teenage years, I kind of dropped away from it a bit. And it wasn't until I actually started uni again in Aberdeen, when I got another laptop, because I seen a video online of, it was a DayZ video, I can't remember the creator, but it was a video of the game DayZ, and they were like role playing and a survival. Do you know the game DayZ? I don't know. Of course I don't.
It's
if it's not The Sims, you've lost me.
Right.
But so, I'm interested. I just don't have a clue.
It's like a survival apocalyptic world. It's a survival game, and there's zombies and things, but the zombies are barely in the actual game. It's mostly about players logging onto this server and just surviving and like role playing and stuff. And the video was of someone kidnapping someone and like it sounds horrendous, but it's funny. Like they get up to all this shenanigans, and I remember watching this, being like, "Wow, that's how far games have advanced now. You can talk in games, like you can like role play, like because I was
could
really into
incorporate
theatre.
acting into this.
yeah,
Yeah, theatre,
exactly. It was
yeah.
literally what my mind went. I went, this
drama.
sounds amazing. Yeah, like games are so immersive now from what I remember. So I got a laptop, and then I'd just be in my uni room, like my little jail cell, because they were so small, and then just in the laptop I'd play on bed and stuff, get into other games like CSGO, FPS games, and then just kept that going until I went to London, and then someone suggested streaming, and then I'd play all sorts of games on stream.
Amazing.
But yeah, I've never been one to stick with a game. I wish, but I guess that's just like my personality. I do loads of different games. But now I kind of like to do like story games, like the Bethesda RPG games.
Which actually, when I first kind of became aware of you and kind of looked through what you'd been doing, I thought, I don't know how these things kind of tally up. And then I'm going, duh. Like, obviously they tally. This is theatre, this is performance, and this is an outlet and a creative. It all, excuse my ignorance, but it's all starting to make a heck of a lot more sense to me as a like lay person who has no concept of anything other than Animal Crossing.
Were you into theatre and stuff?
Yeah.
And acting? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. yeah.
I think we've just seen each other completely clearly. It's a beautiful thing.
I think that was kind of a connection early on, was streaming and gaming and theatre, and it was a combination of all of those things. And I definitely think like streaming has helped with like my theatre skills and vice versa. I think the reason that I did all right with streaming was because like things that I'd learned in like improv classes and stuff that I could incorporate. And then it became, we'll do some singing streams, or we'll do some cooking streams, or we'll do some like just random stuff. Like it's like your own wee TV show.
Oh my gosh.
So you can do whatever you want.
Get into streaming.
You definitely should. It's
gonna happen.
It's a laugh. You can do whatever now.
I genuinely, this is making me very excited. I think that sounds class.
You should. All you need is a camera and a mic.
Well, I just want to watch you. Lindsay, on each episode we ask a guest to discuss a different topic, and today we are talking about gaming's role in helping people to escape reality, but also the importance of setting clear online boundaries. Now, we've spoken a little bit about this, but let's delve into the fantasy and the worlds that you can create and how that escaping reality is so appealing.
Games have become so immersed now, it's hard not to get sucked in. Like even games that are quite simple, like Play Up, I can spend like 10 hours in like with my pals.
Well, you can look at a wall for a whole day. So I'm not shocked.
But I do, like, in terms of escapism, I think, like, growing up, it helped. It's funny because I remember, you know what it's like with parents back in the day. There was a generational thing when kids would start to play games and play, like, online. They'd be like, who are you talking to? What are you doing online? You're just rotting your brain and all this stuff. And I do think growing up, I definitely had problems with not being able to quit playing games. But I don't think the games were a problem. I think it was another symptom, you know, like anxieties with life and school and family and all that stuff going on. And the gaming wasn't causing that. It was just, like a symptom. But because I remember my mum saying when I pulled out of uni, she was like, it's the video games. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I remember she read an article. This is so sorry, I'm going off track, but she read an article one time on the newspaper, because prior to this, she'd been like, games are bad, you should stop getting on that computer. And then she was like, oh, this young lad from Sweden made like £1 million playing video games. It was PewDiePie she was talking about. She was like, how can you not do that? And I'm like,
Mum, you told me to pack it in.
I know, but not that I've ever made any substantial amount like that. But what I mean is gaming, like, it's the biggest industry in the world, and I do think it can help a lot of people switch off. Like if you're like me, you can't switch off. Gaming's one of the best things because it's so consuming. I can just actually immerse myself in another world, meet people. I've met some amazing people through gaming, through online communities, that especially if you don't, you know, through the pandemic, that was a massive thing for people. If you don't have access to the ability to go out and meet people. So yeah, and in terms of escapism, I feel like escapism's got so many negative connotations of like not dealing with the world, but I do think sometimes when the world, exactly, when the world gets too overwhelming, I
think it's interesting as well. Kind of your mum's mentality, it would be a mentality shared by a lot of people who aren't in the know, I guess. And I think that the thing is like, oh, that's going to negatively impact your mental health because, you know, you're staring at a screen, you're away from people, da 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 da. But I'm getting the sense that is a pretty, I don't want to say ignorant, but naive standpoint, and that's not actually the case. How is gaming and your mental health, like, are those two things intertwined? Like, is it improved your mental well-being, or is it a coping is it a
go on at the point, like, I think even what you said about like my mum not understanding at first, that's different now, because I remember when she obviously like tried to understand it when it became such a huge part of my life, like streaming and stuff, and she bought me this little plaque that said it was like a picture of a skull with a headset on it. It said, "Gamers don't die, they respawn." And she bought it for me. That's like, oh, that's sweet.
That's adorable, actually.
Yeah,
isn't it?
So she's great with it now. I just wanted to put that in there. But I think growing up, the disconnect, I guess, from parents and what you're doing online, and them just seeing it as a negative, addictive thing that's going to ruin your life, can be quite harmful. Because I know this is still a thing with some parents that worry about their kids spending time online, and I think it's quite, because what it means if anything does happen online, because it's just like the real world online, if anything that happens negatively, they're not then going to be forthcoming to your parents, or they're not going to tell you, you know, they're going to keep it a secret. And I do remember as well, growing up, like, elements of just shame, like thinking that, because I like to spend a lot of time online or playing games and stuff, there was something wrong with me, or there was bad. But I think we're now in a more understanding generation.
So the assumption is that it's inherently antisocial, which you've disproved.
I feel that streaming overall has been, like I said, great for my creative expression, self-confidence, learned a lot of new skills, even without the whole expression performance side of it, you know, things like management, like even emails, learning how to talk to brands, forming professional relationships and things. I've still game online, you know, I still have online friends. Like, I started my own meetups in Glasgow because I feel like it's such a neat thing to be able to meet the friends that you make online. And it's really, and it is literally just like hanging out on Discord or TeamSpeak, it used to be back in the day. And when you meet them out online. And yeah, like with the pandemic and lockdown, we saw a massive boom in how many people watch Twitch and how many people got involved in games and stuff. And I think that helped a lot of people, because I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I can stare at a wall for half a day, but I don't know about staring at a wall for like 2 months, like over lockdown, you know, when there's nobody to talk to, or you can't go out unless it's for like our social bubble. So yeah, I think gaming's been really positive in that regard, being able to switch off and forming friends that was once difficult for me to do as a kid in school.
Got this immediate bond.
Yeah. So it's been great in that regard. Well, yeah, like I said about my parents not understanding at first and just assuming that everybody you speak to online is dangerous,
undesirable.
And not a good person to have a connection with. I mean, there's definitely instances, because like I said, it's like the real world. In fact, it can be, I do agree, it can be more dangerous. I think it would have been easier if maybe parents had like a more open-mindedness to it, therefore there was more of a back and forth conversation about, you know, rather who you talking to online, don't want to say because I'm embarrassed because you're going to judge me. Whereas if they're more open about it, you know, you tell them. Just like my sister used to tell my mum everything about her friends and everything at school, whereas I was always mum's like, how's your pal? And I'm like, fine. So yeah, I think just more of understand, but I think this generation has a better understanding of that. It's more normalised, you know, even dating as well, like dating apps and stuff.
For sure.
How it's completely changed how people have looked at it. It's the norm now to meet someone on a dating app.
Yeah. And mean, you mentioned some of the locations that your friends are in. I mean, presumably that means you've got to see different parts of the world and meet people that you would never have met before.
Oh yeah, like I was literally just in Nashville just there for New Year, and I met somebody that I'd known for years online, and we just had a wee night out.
So jealous.
And it was great. It was it was sick, and it was just like chatting to them online. So it's really cool. Like whenever because I do like to travel, and I do try and go to conventions and stuff when I can.
Yeah.
Meet as many people. It's a great thing with streaming as well. Like a lot of people like to go to these meetups, conventions, and just share their passion for games. And yeah, like our little, like I said, streaming's not just gaming now. It's arts, singing, music, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's amazing. That's so class. Nashville, I'm so jealous. How many women do you encounter in the gaming landscape? Because I feel like historically there's a sort of gender bias there that seemed, and from what I know, maybe a bit overwhelming, like mostly blokes.
Well, it's because, I mean, I encounter loads of women, but yeah, definitely back in the day I've went through that. I've noticed it from a young age.
Yeah.
Like people online and online forums just used to assume you were a guy. Like it was just a huge thing. People were like, wait, are you a girl?
Yeah. And you can play this game?
Yeah, and even with games, like I used to play this game called CS:GO. Like I'm assuming most people have heard of it, and I can hardly use voice chat in that game, because as soon as I use voice chat, they're like, wait, girl, and then they'll just spout a bunch of sexy stuff. I might get kicked. It got to the point where I'd say, no, I'm not a girl, I'm actually a wee boy, you weirdo. Like, and it was just to get them to stop harassing me. But I noticed as newer games came out, even a game like Overwatch, which was, I think, 10 years later, it was marketed towards women more. There was female characters, there was female like customization, and it was more normalised in the voice chat that there were other girls playing. And I still think it's pretty prevalent.
Yeah.
But I do think it's gradually getting better. But yeah, I've noticed a change. It's not as bad as it used to be when I was younger.
Isn't it? It feels like a totally dystopian thing. Like it's like when Yorkie were like not for girl. Like that's the vibe.
Oh, yeah, that was so bad. Do you remember that? Like,
yeah.
And I would just buy it anyway, because
that was
good.
The Quiet Rebellion.
Yeah, like that was, even the adverts and stuff were ridiculous.
Yeah. But then it's like they were just overtly pointing the finger at something that was happening in lots of other industries anyway. Like, but it's so good to hear that that's changing.
It's gradual changing, but I do think, like, as something, you don't realise, and again, it's probably why I've had to take massive breaks from streaming, is people will just not like you because you're a woman. Like, and I still get
what
that.
You just said there, imagine, I mean, I know it's a game, I know when they're kicking you, they're not kicking you, but what the heck? Like, violence towards women on a game, that's horrendous. It's
sometimes you just talk and you can hear there's like a visceral anger, like, and I'm like, I'm just a human, you don't know me, like, I'm just the same as you.
Maybe it's because you're
not much
Scottish.
difference. Maybe maybe they're fear. But yeah, there's like day to day, that was something I realised with streaming, is no matter what you do, people will get angry at you just for existing. And it's something I used to think, oh, I'm used to it, it's fine, like I can handle it, I've got thick skin. But you don't realise it sticks in your subconscious. Everything you post, no matter what you do, it's just, there's some comments about, like, they'll just attack everything about you, but you just know it's because you're a girl, in some ways. And I think a lot of like marginalised folk as well online have to deal with that. But yeah, like I said, it's sad that you need to put up with it. But I do think it is slowly getting better, but overall there's still a lot that needs to be done. Yeah. And what needs to be done is people need to talk about it more, I think, and realise that it's not all right.
There should be, I mean, is there plans to put any tangible rules and laws into place so people can't do that on a game? I know it's diluted through a character, but it's still people behaving in a despicable way.
You don't realise it sticks with you, because at the end of the day, you come home from like a long shift or whatever you've been doing, and you just want to wind you just want to wind down, switch off, like we've been speaking about, and then you log in, and as soon as you hit voice chat, just to be like, you know, rush B, or just, you know, that's what voice chat is, to help each other in the game. Somebody's just like, oh, growl, and then just makes it all about, you know, something you can't control when it's got no relevance to the game whatsoever. So yeah, that sticks with you, because I didn't realise there would been periods of time where it'd been happening a lot, and it sticks in my subconscious. Especially, you know, when you're streaming and you're gaming and you're so young and you're still discovering who you are, right? You still discover, like, I'm still learning who I am to this day, but especially when you're young, you don't realise that sometimes these things can impact you in the way that you view yourself, and it's just not nice. I think the best thing that I did was I ended up just finding people that I trust.
This is online, what I was going to say.
And I just play with them.
You have your core,
your community.
I have
my whole core community. I have my pals, and that's who I enjoy playing with. I used to play a lot online in open worlds. I don't as much because of it. But like I said, I'm lucky that I found some really sick people to spend time with. So yeah.
And people can they tap into that by joining like groups and things like that? I mean, like, how would you find your core now if you were going into it green?
I know now there's like organisations and even charities and things that can connect you with people online that are even monitored. Like for me back in the day, it was just playing games, having a laugh with somebody in a voice chat, being like, oh, do you want to become a friend and play more later? And then they invite you to certain groups. Like there's loads and loads of pockets online, and yeah, it's just finding the right one for
Preferably
you.
with a home in Nashville. That's the people I'm looking for. A lot of people did come to gaming during COVID. You know, as you say, there are only so many walls we can stare at. But you know, coming out of that and all the kind of chaos on a global scale that we've seen recently, has gaming been a sort of comfort blanket to you, or like what have you learned in that time?
Yeah, it's been a comfort blanket, and just that I just like games itself. Like I enjoy the stories in that, like story games, immerse yourself in another world. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my all-time favourite games. Such a beautiful world with a beautiful soundtrack, amazing voice acting, and just like escaping in that. And I still listen to the soundtrack sometimes at night in the bath. Like it's just I imagine that I'm in it on my horse. That I killed.
Thank you for adding in the bath specifically. Like, yeah, this is what I do.
It's so like I just love floating about to the soundtrack. It's beautiful. Yeah, wow, it's really good. So games can be amazing in that regard. I enjoy streaming games. I've realised now actually a lot of single player games I prefer to stream them, because I can chat and share the experience. I like to share my experiences. I like to watch movies with people. A lot of people don't like to watch movies with me because I can't shut up during them. But I'm that kind of person that I like to talk about and go through experiences together, which is why streaming's also been really great.
Yeah. It's wild to think of how many people who maybe just got into it because they were stuck in the house during a really terrible time have ended up, like similar to yourself, meeting people that are their friends for life. Yeah, isn't that quite amazing?
Yeah, a lot of people. I know people that have known people for decades online, and I know people that have, like, found love online, and also just it's just people online. And like I said, although you need to be mindful of spaces you enter and things like that, it can be a really great thing. But I also think it's important as well to meet people face to face. Yeah. Which is why I try and go to the conventions, try and go to the meetups. I also have my own friends outside of gaming that I'll go for coffee and things with that I think is important. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel like you've come a long way from when you were like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Aberdeen. I'm going to do this and you know, to take that passion that you had all along and turn it into what it is now. You know, if you could look back and speak to that younger version of yourself who was confused and thought, I don't know what I'm going to do here, what would you say to her?
I'd say relax, take a chill pill, like,
have a bath.
Everything, like, no, yeah. But I do remember when I was young, everything was so intense, like, and I did have a major problem with like catastrophizing and like being like, oh God, if I don't know what I'm doing, and relax. Like, I never knew streaming was even a thing back then. Now look at it, you know, it's gaming as well as the biggest industry in the world. I always thought maybe I'll do something like online of some sorts, but I never thought I'd be working in amongst games in the tech industry, which is pretty cool. When I started streaming, I didn't know what streaming would lead to. I didn't have a clue. I think it's opened a lot of doors for me, in terms of just professional opportunities. It's great. So I would say to my younger self, just enjoy it more, relax, don't beat yourself up too much. Life isn't supposed to be steady, it's supposed to be up and down, and that's, I guess, what makes it interesting. It's a story at the end of the day. So just relax, and also have stricter boundaries as well.
Relax, but not too much.
Like, but that's my main thing.
Don't forget, if you're under 26, then make sure you get your free Young Scot National Entitlement Card. And with thousands of discounts in Scotland and across Europe, subsidised public transport and a whole lot more. Visit young.scot/card for more info. Finally, Young Scot members can claim 100 reward points just for listening to this episode by visiting Young Scot membership and typing in gaming as your points code. If you're not a member yet, visit young.scot/membership to get started today and earn points for activities and access exciting rewards. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of This Is How I Feel. And if you have, then please rate, review and subscribe to us. That means you'll get instant access the next time an episode drops. Looking forward to it already. See you then.